in detail about breakaway points. Today we are going to be looking at uh, root locus intersection with the imaginary axis. So I told you that suppose if you have a root locus, we just take that example that we had taken yesterday. So you had three roots, one I think was -2, -1 and 0. So you had something going like this. Two, they were approaching like this. There was a breakaway point in the middle, and there were some asymptotes going like this, and then this went like this, root locus. So we are interested in trying to figure out what happens when we come to these points, these ones, this and this. Obviously they mark the limiting points of stability, because beyond this the root locus will enter into the positive side of the S-plane, and there we know that things are unstable. So we really need to find out what is that value of k that will be sufficient enough to keep the systems in the stable region rather than making it unstable. That is basically what we're trying to look at. We'll start with an example. Suppose can best explain with an example. I told you that we are going to apply Routh-Hurwitz criteria here. Routh-Hurwitz criteria will be applied to figure out the information that we seek. So let's say that you are given a unity feedback system. H is 1 and G is K over S, S plus 4, S plus 4S minus 20. Okay, so you have your characteristic equation as this, which is basically 1 plus G equal to 0. You have your open loop poles will be given by S equal to 0, minus 4, and then there will be two roots with A plus minus JB, which will be basically solution of this term, whatever it is. Okay, so we are not really focusing much on creating the root locus right now, but we're trying to figure out what happens when the root locus touches and cuts the imaginary axis. Okay, so if I ask you to evaluate the characteristic equation, if you remember when we used to apply RH criteria, we used to formulate the characteristic equation. So for this case, as I mentioned before, the characteristic equation is given by this. So if I write 1 plus G equal to 0, so this equation becomes S plus 4 S square plus 4S plus 20 plus K equal to 0. So if I expand it, I get S square plus 4S multiplied by S square plus 4S plus 20 plus 4 equals 0. So you get S square 4S plus S cube, so you get 8S cube. Then you get 20S square plus 16S square, which is 36S square. Then you get 80S, right, plus K equals 0. Okay, So all terms of S are there, all the coefficients are positive, so that's the necessary condition. We can move towards the table of Routh-Hurwitz. So let's make that table. So you have, I'll use a thinner pen. S4 will be 1, will be 36, and will be K. S cube is going to be 8, 80, and then basically nothing over here. So S square. Can you tell me what S square is going to be? What will be the terms here in S square row? What will be the first term and the second term?
$5.7.
You just write. So there is this one thing over here. You see 8 and 80 here. So what we can do is that we can kind of take a common factor out, and we can call this as 1 and 10. So because they're just going to be common.
So 26.
So this is one thing that you must know. So just a second. I can't hear because of this issue with the mic. Can you just type on the chat? I'll see from there. Is there anything you wanted to say? Anyone? Okay, let me just continue. So what I'm trying to say is, instead of writing 80 and 8 here, what we can do is we can just write 1 and 10, because there is a common factor of 8 that gets cancelled anyways. So then this becomes 26, and this becomes K. Okay, then S1. Then somebody has to tell me, because if you start talking only, then will my mic become better. But I'll just write it, but just say something after I finish this, so that the mic starts to work. So this becomes 260 minus K divided by 26, right? And nothing really comes here. Let's just put zeros. Okay. And then over here, S to the power 0, you're basically getting K. Okay, so this is what it is. And if you remember, in RH criteria, we used to consider the first column. So if you consider the first column, you will see that everything is positive, and for everything to be stable, just about stable, or let's just say for everything to be stable first, we must have two conditions satisfied. One condition is that 260 divided by 26 must be greater than or equal to 0, and second is that K is greater than or equal to 0. So this condition translates to 260 minus K greater than 0, which translates to 260. K is less than 260 and K is greater than 0, right? So K greater than 0 is okay. So if I say that what is the condition, what is the range in which things will work, so you know that for K equal to 0 to 260, I can say that the system is going to be working in the stable condition. System will be stable, and but we are trying to find the limiting value. So of course it cannot go beyond 260. So K equal to 260 is the limiting value that you can attain. And beyond this value, your system will actually become unstable. So this is what you get from Routh-Hurwitz criteria. So now let's figure out. So that's one thing. We have figured out what is the value of K at these points. But we should also be able to figure out what are these points. That is also important. So we'll do that. But I hope this is clear. So this K is 260, and so is this K. Okay. Yesterday we had found out a value of k over here, which was coming out to be something. I told you that that's maximum. It's maximum in the local sense, but this is the limiting value about. This is the limiting value that k will take. This is maximum only in the local sense. Anyways, so this is k is equal to 260. But now we need to find out what are these values of j omega here, or I should say, j omega 1 and j omega 2, because the real part is 0 on these lines anyways. Let's find that value. So if you look at the Routh-Hurwitz criteria, if k is equal to, if k is equal to 260, then what will happen to the first row? You will see that this side is going to be 0. This row will become completely 0. So if you remember, we had done something like this, and we used to look into something called an auxiliary equation, which was the equation formed by the row just preceding it. So what would be the auxiliary equation? The auxiliary equation would be auxiliary equation is 26s square plus k equal to 0. You can see this. It will be 26s square plus k is equal to 0. And I have taken k to be 260. So this is s square plus 260 equals 0, which is s square plus 10 equal to 0. So s is equal to plus minus j root 10. That means at these points, this corresponds to point j root 10, and this corresponds to point minus j root 10. That is how you find these values. So this is basically how you find out what are the limiting values of k. So for this system to be stable, the one that I've given you, the value of k must lie between 0 to 260, and the limiting value is 260, and at that value, limiting value, the root locus will cut the imaginary axis at j root 10 and j minus j root 10. So that is how we actually do it. So there was a problem last. I think we had looked into another problem. Let's try to
Sir,
make a complete root locus for this. Yeah.
sir, repeat again first problem, sir.
Can't hear you. This is horrible. Can you just write everything on this thing chat? I'll read it. Yeah, 26. Thank you. Can anybody tell me what was being said? Just write it here on the chat box. I'm sorry, but this thing is not working. Can you say maybe ईशान जरा कुछ बोलना यार.
Yes, sir.
थोड़ा टाइम बोलते रहो तभी मुझे सुनाई देगा.
Sir, sir.
I could not make out a single word. Anyways, okay, someone is asking to repeat question 1 briefly. Okay. Which question 1 briefly? This one that we have done right now? You want me to discuss this again, the entire thing? That's okay. Fair enough. Okay. All right. So let me just quickly go through it, and then we'll solve a problem, which will be a complete problem, and we'll evaluate everything in it. So in today's class, you are basically looking at this part, root locus interaction with the imaginary axis, intersection with the imaginary axis. So there could be some root locuses that you will construct in which the root locus will cut the imaginary axis, which is j omega axis. Now we know this thing that on the left hand side of the S plane you have stable. On the right hand side of the S plane you have unstable, and on the j omega axis you could say that you're marginally stable or marginally unstable. That means you're just at the verge of losing stability and you're just at the verge of attaining instability. So that is what it is. So we are always interested to find out what would be the value of k, which is our variable gain. What will be that value of gain that will be attained at these points, because you cannot exceed the value of gain beyond that value. If you do, your system will be unstable. So there are two things of interest. One is what is the value of this variable gain term when it cuts, the root locus cuts at the imaginary axis, and what are these points basically? At what should be the frequency of the system? So you can say that the frequency of the system in this case is root 10 because it's j omega, right? So you're given a system which is a unity feedback. If it isn't a unity feedback, you make it a unity feedback. So once you've made it a unity feedback system, you will take the G and you will construct a characteristic equation. And once you construct the characteristic equation, you will apply the RH, which is the Routh-Hurwitz criteria, to find out the values of K. So you lay down the table, you proceed in the same way, the tabular method that we had studied for root locus, and you find out this first column. So if you look at this first column, you can see that for all values, if all values are positive, then all the roots are going to lie on the left hand side of the S plane. If there is a sign change, that means that those number of roots are there on the right hand side. We don't want that. So you'll see that. So for this system to be stable, K must be greater than equal to 0, and 260 minus K over 26 should be greater than equal to 0. So if you simultaneously solve these two inequalities, you come to this range which is K between 0 to 260. That means you can vary the value of K from 0 to 260. I told you yesterday when we were solving the problem that near the breakaway point the value of K is maximum. That is in the local sense, but actually the limiting value of K is 260. Then at 260 we need to find out what is the value of the roots when it cuts the imaginary axis. So we are trying to find out these points. What are these two? The S1 row becomes completely 0. So if you remember, this was a special case in Routh-Hurwitz tabular method. So what you do is that you try to form an auxiliary equation with the row preceding the row in which you get all zeros. So if you look at that equation will become equal to 26s square plus k. It's simply this row, this one, this row. So so when you put k equal to 260 here, and this is equated to 0, you simply get the values of s to be equal to plus minus j root 10, and these are basically those intersection points, which is j root 10 and minus j root 10. So that is basically how you evaluate these things. All right. So now let's do just one more problem of trying to evaluate these values, and then we are going to push forward and do one elaborate numerical to close this subject for now for your end semester examination. So let me just give you one more example. Just try to do this. So the problem is that you are given again a unity feedback system where H is 1 or G is equal to K over S into S plus 3 into S square plus 2S plus 1. Okay, sometimes people may say that you're given a system. So this system can also be characterized as, I simply give you value of GH equal to 1 plus S, S plus 3, S square plus 2S plus 1. Okay, I can just simply give you this value also, saying that it's a unity feedback system. Okay, so now I want you to tell me, what is that range of k. Okay. And second is you have to tell me the point of intersection. Point of intersection with j omega axis. Point of intersection of the root locus. So start doing this problem and tell me what answer do you get. Just uh, just type it on the chat box. If you get a value, just type it on the chat box so that I come to know. So I'm waiting for an answer.
सर क्या क्या बताना था?
Yeah, so root 6 and root 6 is not correct. Range of k from 0 to 16, well, this is incorrect, so obviously this value will also be correct. Not correct. Manali. Ishan, कुछ आंसर निकला? Kashish? No answer. Daksh? Sanya? Manas? Is there anybody there, or you guys have left? Kashish says, yeah, right. So, Kashish, just if you can just say something, because I just want to test my mic also. Manali, कुछ बोलना था फिर से?
Sir, am I audible?
हाँ, अब आवाज आ रही है मुझे. हाँ. Okay,
हाँ,
so
sir.
the rate, so it is 0 to 8.16 and
Yes, sir. Plus minus j root 1.2.
हाँ, मतलब root 1.2, so that will be somewhere around, इसका square root कितना निकलेगा? 1.2 का
1.095, I
हाँ,
guess.
yeah, that, so yeah, thank you. हाँ, आवाज आ रही है अभी मुझे, ठीक है. So okay, good enough. So I think I can, safely say that you guys can evaluate it. So I'll just quickly go through it. The answer is already been given by Kashish. So it is, value for k is 0 to 8.16 and those plus minus j terms are basically 1.1. This is what it is. Okay. So the idea is to evaluate those values. So the characteristic equation will come out to be s into s plus 3 into s square plus 2s plus 2 plus k equals 0. So that comes out to be s4 plus 5s cube plus 8s square plus 6x plus k equal to 0. And then if we make the Routh-Hurwitz table, and this is 1, this is 8, this is k, this is 5, this is 6, and this is 0. So this becomes 40 and 40 minus 6 divided by 5. So this is 34 by 5. 5 into k minus 0 divided by 5 is k. So this is 0. This becomes 34 by 5 into 6 divided by 5 minus 5k. So this becomes how much? कितना वैल्यू आता है कशिश ये?
6.8.
Something 6.8, huh?
34 by 5. अच्छा सर S1 का है 40.8 minus 5k.
Okay. So this comes out to be 40.8
minus 5k upon 6.8. अगर हम 34 by 5 को लिखेंगे पॉइंट के टर्म्स में तो.
एंड यहाँ 0 आएगा और यहाँ 0 आएगा.
Yes sir.
यहाँ पे सिर्फ k आएगा.
K is 0 0.
हाँ. So now if you look at this, for them to be for this system to be stable, if we just focus on this thing, for the system to be stable, we should have 40.8 minus 5k divided by 6.8 to be greater than 0, number 1, which would essentially tell us that 40.5 divided by 5. So this value comes out to be 8.16. And this is the first from here. And then from here we get k, it should be greater than 0, which means the value of k must lie between this value. So now when k is equal to, when k is equal to 8.16, then you'll see that this entire row becomes equal to 0. That means we now search for the auxiliary equation. So if you look at the auxiliary equation, auxiliary equation becomes 34.5 s square plus k equals 0, and k is 8.16. So then you write 8.16 equals 0. Then s square plus Kashish कितना आ जाएगा? 1.2, right?
Yes, sir.
1.2 equals 0.
Yes,
So
sir.
that means s is plus minus j 1.2, which is roughly equal to plus minus j 1.1. So that means that this root locus will cut the imaginary axis at values j 1.1 and minus j 1.1. And the maximum value of k that this system can tolerate is 8.16. So this is how it is. Let's just summarize the entire root locus by solving a numerical on this numerical only. Let's just do this, and that will be the end. Let's do that. So the problem is again the same. You are given gh as k over s into s plus 3 s square plus 2s plus 2. Okay, and we have to make a root locus. We have to create a root locus plot. Okay, so the first thing is we find the poles, open loop poles, and they are at s equal to 0, s equal to minus 3, and if you solve this equation, you will get value as minus 1 plus minus j1. So that means the value of n is equal to 4. Okay, how many zeros? S equal to 0, कुछ है ही नहीं, nothing. So I should just probably write no zeros. So your m is equal to 0. How many branches?
4.
Number of branches will be 4. Thank you. And they basically will be equal to n. Okay. Now, where would these branches be going ultimately? All the branches in this case will go to infinity, because then there is just no value of, there is no 0 for a certain branch to terminate at it. So all the branches are going to go to infinity. All 4 branches will go to infinity. Okay. Then what is the next thing that we make? We try to find out. The next is we find out the regions. We find out regions where a root locus will lie on the real axis. Okay, now this is the task that we want to find out. So what do? We try to create a plot sigma j omega. So one pole is at 0, one is at minus 3. So this is at 0. Then you have one at minus 3. And then you have one located here and you have one located here. So this corresponds to your, so this point is 1, minus 1. So this corresponds to 1 plus j1, minus 1 plus j1, and this corresponds to minus 1 minus j1. Okay, so this is the diagram. Now we need to find out what are the portions in which the root locus lies. So there are obviously these regions. One is this region, the other is this region, this entire region, and then one is this region. So obviously nothing will lie here. So root locus will obviously not be here. If you look at this region here, then the root locus will not lie here as well, because the number of poles, the real poles, uh, and the sum of the real poles, number of real poles and number of zeros is 2, which is even. So even this is not there. But in this region, there is only one pole here, which is odd. That's why in this region, the root locus will lie. So now we know that the root locus will lie in this region. So if the root locus lies in this region and it does not lie any other region, that means the branch that will originate from here will go like this. The branch that will originate from 0 will move like this. That means somewhere in the middle, they're going to meet and they will jump to the complex plane, and there must be a breakaway point somewhere. So now I want you to find out that breakaway point for me. Please start doing calculations and tell me what is that breakaway point value. How do you find breakaway point value? You evaluate tk by ds equals 0. So from there you get the value of s at which there'll be a breakaway point. So I'm waiting for the breakaway point value now. I just need the value for the breakaway points. आप बोल सकते हो, मुझे सुनाई देगा. बताएगा कोई वैल्यू? कशिश तुम ही बता दो, और तो कुछ करने का मना।
सर सर माइनस 2.28 और माइनस 0.73 प्लस 0.34 जी
आने आना।
प्लस माइनस 0.3 यस सर।
ओके, पहली वैल्यू क्या बताइए?
सर माइनस 2.28
2.28, और दूसरी वैल्यू?
माइनस 0.73 प्लस माइनस 0.34 आयोटा।
प्लस माइनस 0.34
आयोटा।
ठीक है, thank you. Okay, so you can see that the only acceptable value is this value, which is minus 2.28, and the other two values are not acceptable. The reason is minus, can you clear minus?
0.73.
Yeah, so you can see that if you look at it, we are looking at breakaway point on the real axis between minus 3 and 0. So that's why the complex values, they get rejected. And the only value that is permissible is minus 2.28, which is somewhere here. Okay, so let me just call this. So I hope it's clear. Both the values, there are three values, and the two values which are complex are rejected because we're looking for a breakaway point on the real axis. And these values are complex values, so they cannot lie on the real axis. So the only value is minus 2.28, which is this value. So this is the valid breakaway point for us, and let me mark it like this. Okay, now we need to also find out what are the asymptotes and what is the centroid. So if you remember, so we need to find out, because the root locus will approach infinity close to these asymptotes. So we need to now look for asymptotes. So if you remember, the angle for the asymptotes used to be 2q plus 1, 180 degree over n minus m. And your q used to vary from 0. In this case, also it will vary from 0 to 3. N minus 4 in this case. So your phi becomes q1 180. So phi
So your voice is lagging.
180.
So you're not audible clearly.
Can you hear me now? Is it okay now?
So there's some discontinuity still.
Can you hear me? Okay. Just a second. Am I audible now? Am
Yes,
I audible
sir.
now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So phi 1 is 180 by 4, phi 2 is 3 into 180 by 4, and phi 3 is 5 into 180 by 4, and phi 4 is going to be 9 into 180 degree by 4. So what are these angles? If you can tell me what are these angles? These angles are 45 degree, then you get 135 degree, then you get 225 degrees, and then you get 315 degrees. And we also need to find out what is the centroid. And centroid is summation of all real parts of poles minus summation of real part of 0, this entire thing divided by number of poles minus number of zeros. It's
Sir, again the same problem is occurring. You're not audible clearly. Even your screen is
Is one
also
is-
freezed.
is that point. So it's I'll just go out and come back again. Just a second. Just tell me if you can see it.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. So we were looking at the centroid. So the centroid is going to be given by the standard formula that we know, and the value is this is going to be minus 0 because you have no zeros, divided by 4. So at minus 1, these things are going to start, the asymptotes. So let's create those asymptotes. So I'm erasing this line. You already know that the root locus lies here. So from minus 1, we create these asymptotes. One is at an angle of 45 degrees. So this is 45 degrees. The other is at an angle of 135 degrees. So that 135 degree will go like this. So this angle is 135. The other is 225. So you must now know that they're going to be like a crisscross, and the other one is going to go like this. So these are the four asymptotes. Yeah. So now what happens is that, so this root locus comes to this point and then it breaks away. So we know that there are two branches that are going to go like this. One goes like this and the other goes like this. They cannot go the other way because then they'll be intersecting. Now, the other two root locuses are, the other two poles are located at these 2 points. So now the task now is, so we know that they will also approach, but we don't know what is the angle of approach. So what you do is, you have to make these lines here. You have to make these lines here, and you have to find out what is the angle of approach. So what I'll do is, I'm not very certain about the internet connectivity at my place. So I'm just going to give you those things and you just calculate it yourself. Actually, this will go like this. It'll go like this. So, and this is going to go like this. These values you have already evaluated. This point is J1.1. This point is minus J1.1. And this angle you evaluate by the formula that we had discussed yesterday. And this comes out to be this angle. So this is basically departure, angle of departure, phi p. So phi p will come out to be somewhere around minus 71.6. That'll be it. So then for this it will be plus 71.6 angle of arrival, angle of departure. So quickly let's just see how you can evaluate it. I'll just give you an idea. Suppose you are looking at this. So we are looking at this pole. So you have one at minus 3 here. You have one at 0 here, and you have one here. So this point is minus 1. So what is the angle, this theta, that is being subtended by this minus 3? So that is basically
So theta is tan inverse 1 by 3 because this distance is 1. Sorry, tan inverse 1 by 2. This is minus 3, this is minus 1, so this length is 2. So it is tan inverse 1 by 2. Then what is the angle being subtended by this? So that angle is, actually you can find it out. We are basically calculating these angles with respect to this axis. So that angle is, well, you know, if you evaluate this angle, that angle will come out to be 45 because this is 1 and this is 1. So this angle is 45, this angle is 90. So this angle, let me just call, this is the angle. Let me call it alpha. So alpha comes out to be 135. Then you have this pole here, and the angle that this pole is subtending is 90. So let me call this as beta. So this beta is 90. Can you tell me quickly what is the value of theta 1 by 2? Tan inverse 1 by 2 is what? If you have a calculator, scientific, okay, fair enough. Let's just keep it at that value. So then basically phi p will be 180 plus minus q becomes 0 in this case because you're taking only 1. Then you have basically you have a plus phi. So your phi is basically all the angles by zeros minus all angles by poles. So that will be minus tan inverse 1 by 2 minus 135 minus 90. If you substitute it over here, you will get phi p. So you just take the plus sign right now. Tan inverse 1 by 2 कितना होगा?
0.463.
डिग्री में बताओ, डिग्री में, तुम मुझे रेडियन में बताओ. 0.4 जो बोल रही हो ना वो रेडियन में है, कैलकुलेटर में.
So 26.56.
26.6 degrees, okay, 5, 6 or whatever. So this value will come out to be 26.6 minus 135 minus 90. So whatever that value comes out, that value will come out to be whatever I've told you, 71.6 or something, I think it will come out to be, minus. So that is how you find phi p for this. So this will go like this, as I've mentioned here, and the other one will be positive, of course, and it will go like this. So this completes this root locus. And you've already evaluated what will be the value of k here, and you've already evaluated what will be the value of j 1.1. So this is what it is. So I think just practice some of the core numericals. Solve numericals only for root locus. See, I cannot give you a complete problem of root locus in your paper because it's primarily an objective paper. But I can ask you different aspects in root locus. Like for example, I can ask you at what value of k something will be, the system will be unstable. What is the value at which the root locus, what are the points at which root locus will cut the imaginary axis? What is the centroid? What are the angles of the asymptotes? How many branches are going to infinity? So I can only ask you such questions. But I think the reason why we plotted root locus here is that you should also know how to do this, because had you been in the class and we would have been giving offline exams, you would have had to construct these. This would formally end all the topics that I had to cover in this online teaching for control systems. I have not completed everything. There are certain things that I have left out, and the reasons why I've left them out is that I would not be able to formulate objective questions that would be proportional to the amount of rigor that you would have actually put had it been offline classes. But what I'm going to do is that I'm going to put those videos of those things on the group, and once the papers are over, you can go through them at leisure and ease, And if you have problems, we can set up a class and we can finish those topics. There are not many topics left. There is one called Bode plot, there is one called Nyquist plot, and then there is a PI, PID controller. So these are the only 3 or 4 things which are left. I would have covered them in 4 lectures had I had 1.5 hours lectures in the offline modes, but we will take them up. And there is a section of lab for this. That lab would have been MATLAB based lab, and we would have needed a control system toolbox for it. And that's why we did not do lab in the class right now. But in the college, we have obtained now 25 licenses of MATLAB. We did that purchase, and the toolboxes are going to be installed in a couple of days. So once I get those toolboxes, I'm going to get a VPN access, a remote login access. I'm going to create those problems of control systems on using MATLAB, and then I'm going to put them on the group. You people can have a look at it. If you can implement them using Scilab, some of them, it will be great, because Scilab, everything is open source. But if you cannot, then once you come to the college, we can quickly do them. Maybe on a Saturday, a couple of Saturdays, we'll be able to finish the lab. So that is how I intend to finish the labs. And that is how I intend to finish some of the left out topics. Now, formally, the class gets over today, control systems. I'm going to put these notes up in the classroom, and give me some time, because I have like a couple of meetings lined up today. The first year people are starting their classes from 18, so I'm very busy there as well. But by the end of the day, I promise today that you will have all the topics that are going to be asked in the exam. I'm going to also talk to the dean about either delaying the exam from 5 to 7 and maybe doing it a little late, or maybe shifting it to 31st as was requested to me by one of the students. But I cannot promise that will happen, but I can certainly promise that I can delay the exam. You have a lot of holidays coming in between the exams. You have a 22nd off. You have, 24th is off, 25th is off. 26th is one EMFT paper in the morning, so the rest of the day is off. 27th is off. I think you will be able to plan your studies accordingly. As it is, I'm not going to give a very difficult paper. The idea is for you to, know the subject, and the intention is not to fail. So you don't need to worry about the paper. The paper is going to be on Examinia. So I'm going to put all those things on the group by the end of the day. The syllabus and the mode of exams and the marks of the exams and how many questions I intend to put it. I will also give you the breakup of the questions that I'm going to put up so how many questions are going to come from unit 1, how many questions are going to come from unit 2, and so on and so forth. I would also urge you people to start working on your projects, because we have a presentation on 2nd and 3rd. I will not accept files that are created in any other mode except links. That was a part of assessment, so I would want you people to continue it. Okay, so if there are no issues or problems, then we will break, and some
sir?
of you I'll see in the SP class, the others I'll see later. Yeah, बताओ साने.
सर जैसे सेकेंड मिडसम में हमें पेपर्स लिख के सबमिट भी करना था, इसमें भी करना होगा?
नहीं, सेकंड मिड टर्म का मैंने आपको एक मिड टर्म प्रोजेक्ट दिया हुआ है.
मिडसम 1 में जैसे हमने जो सॉल्व किया था वो सबमिट
नहीं, इसमें
किया
इसमें
था.
कुछ नहीं करना. और आपके मिड सेम 1 के जो मैंने कुछ लोगों का मार्क्स बड़े भी हैं, तो वो हम एक बार पेपर खत्म हो जाए आराम से, आई विल जस्ट डिस्प्ले यू ऑल द मार्क्स, एंड इफ यू हैव अ प्रॉब्लम आई कैन डिस्कस इट विद यू आल्सो. बट आई थिंक मोर और लेस सबके नंबर वही हैं जो आपने एग्जामिनियर में अपने नंबर देखे. किसी लोगों के ज्यादा से ज्यादा 2 नंबर या 3 नंबर बढ़ गए हैं बिकॉज ऑफ स्टेप मार्किंग. अदर देन दैट द मार्क्स आर सेम. यू ऑलरेडी हैव सीन योर मार्क्स बिकॉज दे वर डिस्प्लेड देयर. इसमें पूरा ऑब्जेक्टिव होगा, कुछ सबमिट नहीं करना, बिकॉज आई एम गोइंग टू आस्क, it's a 2-hour paper, so so many questions you'll not be able to solve them subjectively, and I don't want to check so many questions, 100 questions of each student. I don't want to do that also. So it's going to be a purely objective paper.
So okay.
ठीक है. Okay, thank you. Bye bye. Good day. Bye. See you.